Hello everybody, this is BALA of the Galactic Glyph Gallery here in Gainesville, Florida at the time being. This gallery will pop up internationally. Look for it in a countryside near you. I have many personal works on the wall involving many different materials. I'm always experimenting. We have the laser cut acrylic glass. We have the LED lit up multi-dimensional exhibits. And I'm going to take you on a little tour here in the main gallery space. So come with me. So right here is a sculpture that's about 3 feet tall. It's made out of wire wrap armature. You can see on the base there's wheels, and that's just a whimsical, fun way of giving a little mobility to this very bizarre sculpture that I call the Saint. And you may see there up at the headpiece, it's kind of got the halo around the type of head. And this is just one organic way the biomorphic form comes about. These are all of my works, whether it's painting or sculpture, is dealing with what I consider to be beings of rectilinear design. Now, I have recently produced a number of paintings that are very abstract in nature, and it's the result of taking work from previous years and working over it, which gives me a very deep layered effect. And the fun thing about this is it really allows me to loosen up and just make marks where the marks don't have to mean anything. They don't have to represent anything. And then your mind is kind of set free within the piece to decide what it is you see, and overall an emotional content of, what is the vibration that it gives you? Is it a peaceful, joyous, happy impression? I would think so, because my spirit is set free in this exercise, and that's what should be conveyed. Now, a piece like this is a little more structured in that I go with a specific abstract shape, and I work it until I get it to have qualities that give it depth. Right here, this is titled Transparent Pregnancy. So you do have this quality of being able to see the interior of the shape, and the exterior has this iridescent teal blue to it. Moving on to this painting, which is titled The Matchmaker. This one is a Aboriginal type central form shamaness creature, which has a very Egyptian type quality. I allow the abstraction to take its own form. Obviously, I'm using a female body structure in the central figure, but then the figure on the left and on the right are very comical, alien, extraterrestrial type beings that do not have a particular sexual orientation. And so these beings on either side are being introduced to each other by the central figure. Thus, the title is The Matchmaker. Now, this piece here is working with more recognizable characters, yet abstracted, the one on the far left having more of the feminine features. But I guess it's definitely a play of blending sculptural qualities to human figures. And the way this one came out is interesting in that each of the figures looks like it's going into its own type of closet or doorway, which is, imagine a family, a male and a female figure with the children. They're a unit, and yet they're all going their separate ways in life. The title of this one is Sculptures Coming Out of the Closet. So it also brings up concepts of what is the, what is being revealed about them and their own traits. This one, again, we have 4 characters, 3, 4, a single character interacting. Now, these are, again, any of my paintings tend to have, you can almost imagine these as wood sculptures, right? They're very archaic. And this painting, I'm getting up close because it has different qualities to it, such as ink stain, this blobular quality to a certain black mark making, and then oil stick, which is the big area, blocks of color. There's this golden character, which almost seems out of place here, but it's the entity that they're all observing, worshiping. It's reflective of, when I looked at art history books, of the ancient peoples all staring off into space as though they were worshiping some god who had descended, like an extraterrestrial. That one's called The Astonished. Now this piece here, it may take a while for your mind or eye to adjust, and maybe it never will. It's one of my glyph-like shapes covered in a cowhide, which is, of course, a faux cowhide fabric. And this shape, to me, looks like it has an udder here. So it's a cow with an udder, mother cow, mounted on a pink shag carpet. And it's called The Vegan Cow Celebrates. So if you just contemplate that title for a second, it's kind of funny. This is a larger piece I've recently completed. It's in the same series with the first one we saw, where I'm just working over layers of material, and I guess the most basic primal shapes that come to me and mark making in a very loose and spontaneous way, creating squares, circles, smudges. And what's enjoyable about this is making the paint behave as though it's interlacing, and that you're balancing all the various colors that you end up using so that there's a cohesiveness to the total piece. And this one's entitled Urbanites Commute. And what kind of happens is the black line in there starts coming out as if you see some Aboriginal characters. I'm using that word again because I love tribal things. Tribal characters in there. Now, here I go again with a very fuzzy fabric. It's the blue shag carpet. And this was a laser cutout mirror where the negative crashed to the ground and broke. So I used the negative part and let the shag come through the positive, if that makes sense. And this is called Cookie Monster's Liberation. So just like we all grew up with Sesame Street and the Blue Cookie Monster, that is an ode or homage to that character. This is one of my premier pieces. You'll see this on the cover of my website. It is called The World Redeemer. It's about 3.5 feet wide by 3 feet high. It is a wood panel with sculpto mold, so built up, shaped, and tiled with a beautiful iridescent tile. And therefore you get the shapes and qualities. I would love to exhibit this and a series of pieces done like this on wallways in an airport or other such large, magnificent walls of a wealthy person's home. I'm going to skip over here to a central sculpture. Now this one's going to take a moment to digest, and I need better lighting in here, but we'll work with what we got. This is 2 giraffes that were carved out of wood and came from Indonesia. And because they were old and beat up, and I decided to give them alien spacesuits, which I consider more like a Martian landscape suit. If you look closely at the material, it's pebbly and a very unusual paint consistency, very matte, and yet the 2 of these characters, it's a mother, the larger one being the mother, and child, in which you just get all these unusual shapes. Now, they are communicating with these 2 obelisk shapes, and I think I may even include a mirror inside of each of these that they would be reflecting one another. Now here is a painting that's more like a dreamscape. It's titled The Wellspring. And this just has a lot of different little images and drawings throughout it. And I kind of goofed up here in that I'm walking around with a camera on a tripod. Okay, this one here is what I would consider a painting of 2 sculptures interacting. It's entitled Discussion Amongst Nobility. You have an ink wash in the background that kind of gives this bleeding edge, and then acrylic painted characters. And this painting here, 4 feet by 5 feet, is entitled Easy Rider. And even though it's quite an abstract conglomeration, there's a motorbike. This is a wheel and handlebars and a crazy rider on there, but only I see that. And if I didn't title it this or whatever, somebody may never notice that. But, you know, I'm giving a hint towards something I saw in it. But anyone can interpret it how they like. Now, the last sculpture here we'll preview is what's called the Oompa Loompa Relic. So this is a wood shape with plaster build out so that it appears in its 3-dimensional form. And it would be nice to have these cast in bronze Right now it's in a polished kind of wood stain, which gives it a glossy, chocolatey look. So thus the title, Oompa Loompa Relic Cast in Pure Dark Chocolate. On the wall on this side, this is the final pieces we'll look at here, are a series of round wood cutouts with relief shapes on them. They're covered in a fabric. So you've got various types of fabric. That's a large painting, or a medium-sized painting that was worked with over several layers. And I think for now, we'll leave it at that. There's always more work. I have possibly 3 times this amount of work to fill this space over several months, and we'll get to all that. Thank you for joining me today.